All right. Hello again, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Some people may be filtering in over the next little bit, and that is 100% okay. For the purpose of this webinar, we are going to be using the chat function for any questions that may arise. So feel free to type them in as they pop up as we go through the information, and I'll make sure that we have a few minutes at the end so that I can answer them. So, for today, we are chatting about supporting stress resilience naturally. And this is quite fitting as we are moving very quickly, actually, into the holiday season. I don't know about you all, but I looked at my calendar today and realized, oh, look, Christmas is next week. And I know for so many different holidays that happen within this season, whether it be Hanukkah or Kwanzaa and so many others, it just seems like there's always a different event almost every single weekend. I know for a lot of people, and it can be a little bit of a struggle to really find that balance between looking after yourself and making sure that, you're eating well and you're resting when you need to, but then also being able to show up for all of those around us and really for those special moments as well. So, if we have not met yet, if you have not been on one of the webinars that I've done with Youtheory, my name is Janette Bell, and it's very nice to have you joining us today. I am a nutritionist from Ajax, Ontario, and for my personal practice, I specialize in women's hormone health and, in particular, postpartum health. Now, for today, I am very happy to be educating for the brand Youtheory, and we're going to be chatting about a few of our favorite products from the Youtheory line and really digging into some key ingredients to truly help support our nervous system and our overall body physiology as we go through what might be a little bit more of a stressful season. Now, for today's agenda, we're going to be covering a few different things. First of all, I want to make sure that we're all on level ground. So, we're going to chat about how stress impacts the body as well as our minds during the busy holiday season. And then we're going to be getting into some solutions. So, I know the beginning of these webinars sometimes feels a little bit doom and gloom. Okay, we're talking about some stats, we're talking about, how the body works, but really the purpose of this is so that we're all on the same page. And if you are struggling right now, it's really important to know that you are not alone and there are things that we can lean on to support ourselves, especially right now, but continuing on throughout 2026. So we're going to chat about some key nutrients. One in particular that I'm very excited to talk about is the adaptogen called ashwagandha. So ashwagandha has actually been studied to support calm and resilience in the body. And then we'll also touch on a few other natural tools and lifestyle habits to help manage stress, as well as to maintain our energy, which I know is definitely going to be, for some of us, in a little bit of short supply. So we want to really be compounding what we do have as much as possible. And then I will leave you with some practical nutrition and mindfulness tips to restore balance from within. So, to get us started, let's talk about how stress actually impacts both our body and our mind. Starting with, just kind of a level setting here and really understanding what's happening with Canadians. Now, stress has become a significant and truly a growing concern in Canada, affecting various aspects of daily life. Recent studies highlight the pervasive nature of stress among Canadians. For example, just last year, we saw 29% of Canadians aged 18 and older reporting depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. Now, this is an uptick from 20%, which was reported in 2016. Now, we do see that approximately 70% of working Canadians acknowledge that their work experience impacts their mental health. So, common stressors may include heavy workloads, lack of control over work tasks, as well as challenges in balancing work and personal life. Overall, we are seeing, just rising levels of stress. So 40% of Canadians reported experiencing higher stress levels than previous years, with 58% observing an increased stress among others. So not only are we becoming really good at tuning into our own needs and tuning into hey, I'm feeling stressed right now. My burnout level is rising, but we're also noticing it in those around us. So perhaps if you have been out in the shops, maybe you've been to Healthy Planet, or maybe you've been to some other stores stocking up for this season. And you look at some people that are around you, and we can feel it. We are as humans, we have a very strong empathy muscle, and so it is interesting that this is something that is now being reported as well, is just noticing the stress loads in others. Now, these statistics really do underscore the increasing normalization of stress in Canadian society, and this affects both individual well-being and, of course, also the broader societal dynamics. So, now, when we think about stress and how it kind of comes into our atmosphere, let's say, there's different physiological reactions that happen as soon as the onset of stress is presented. So now stress, of course, and how we perceive stress is going to be different, and really it's an individual experience, right? What you might find stressful, I might not find stressful, and vice versa. So when we are under a state of stress, especially at that initial onset, there are a few biological things that happen. Number one, our brain goes on high alert. All of a sudden, it notices the stress and it's sending a signal to the rest of the body of how to really be managing that stress. This is called our fight or flight or freeze response, the FFF. And this response is really there for survival, right? So it's giving us either enough energy to fight the stress, if it's a physical stress that's coming towards us, or maybe it's giving us enough energy to leave the stress, to flight. And for some of us, we get so overwhelmed with the stress, we actually go into a freeze or a fawn response. And this typically happens when we've experienced repeated stress time and again, and our natural nervous system response tends to lean towards anxiety, and therefore we just kind of freeze in that moment. Now, of course, this is a very simplified version of the stress response, but something that I would love for you to know is that during the stress response, some of your other body systems are actually less active. So they get down regulated so that these other body systems, like our energy and specific hormones to be able to give us that energy to be able to figure out how to deal with the stress, the other body systems get turned down. So this can include your immune system. That's often why we start to see an uptick in certain illnesses during stressful times of year. You might also notice your digestive system going a little wonky. When we are in a state of stress, our bodies are not producing the right amount of enzymes to be able to break down our food. And oftentimes, too, we might have to run to the washroom as soon as we feel that very heavy onset of stress. And that's because our body's just trying to flush out anything that is not needed in this moment. And this is also why you might not feel hungry during a stressful situation. All of a sudden, these body systems are not necessary during that specific peak onset of stress. Now, of course, there is good stress or healthy stress, and then there's distress. So, the healthy stress typically looks like you are preparing for a big presentation at work, or perhaps you're managing, a few really great family events, but it's up to you to make sure that it works with everyone's schedule, and you're meeting all the dietary requirements for all of your family members. These are stressful things that we have to deal with. However, it gives us actually a little bit of energy, and our body actually responds in a very specific way where all of a sudden we are a little bit more alert, maybe more creative. A lot of these good things come to the surface when we are in that healthy zone of stress. What happens is that if we have repeated amount of stress without enough rest in between, without enough break for our bodies and our minds, this is when we move into the distress end of the spectrum. And distress can look like all of a sudden we're feeling exhausted. Our health is starting to break down. Our immune system is being down regulated. We also might have some mental health challenges begin to arise during this time. When we have been under prolonged states of stress, this is when we start to see that uptick in anxiety and mood related disorders. Now, stress really does affect the brain in so many different ways. When we are stressed, the brain does release specific hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which are actually essential for short-term survival, but can actually be damaging when they are chronically elevated. Now, our brain structure and function can actually change when we are under prolonged instances of stress. Our mental health, as I mentioned, can take a hit when we are under that long-term stress, and we can start to see an uptick in neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's. Sleep disturbances, I will say, is probably the number one complaint that I hear from people that are in that burnout side of the spectrum of stress. And this is because our cortisol hormone and our melatonin hormone are very deeply linked. So if our cortisol is chronically elevated, our body does not have enough energy or resources to be really balancing out the amount of melatonin that we need. There can also be cognitive impairment, and then, of course, it can impact our physical health as well. Now, what's important for you to know is that stress impacts mental well being and cognitive function, so how we're actually thinking, causing challenges in focus, memory, and productivity. The right nutrients, however, can play a significant role in improving the body's ability to manage stress and support brain health. Understanding this connection can unlock strategies for better mental clarity and resilience. And that's really what it's all about. The stress will always be a part of the human existence. It's a part of every animal's, every plant's existence on Earth. And this is just, the way of the world. However, if we can really create a very robust resiliency plan, and that's more so what we're talking about today, this is how we're able to thrive during those stressful situations. So going through the holidays, going through end of year exams or, end of year projects, whatever it may be for you, but actually feeling okay about it. And it's also okay to not feel okay. But we're talking about today really how to be supporting ourselves so that we can still center and feel calm and just feel, self-assured that this might be a busy season, but we're going to come out the other end and everything's going to be okay and our health will be able to bounce back and our mental health and etc. So before I get into the specific nutrients that I want to touch on today, I did want to talk just briefly about lifestyle support because at the end of the day, there's two things are true that I've definitely seen over my decade plus of practice. Number one, you cannot out supplement a bad diet. So, there are specific nutrients that are absolutely going to help you, but you also need to make sure that you're eating enough protein, fiber, and drinking enough water throughout the day. There's certain things that, supplements, they are powerhouses and they can be really, really great. However, we still need to make sure that the foundation is there. And the other part of this is that there's a lot that we can do with nutrition. And then there's also a lot that we can do with just nervous system regulation. And when we pair the two, when we focus on lifestyle as well as nutrition, that's a match made in heaven. And that's truly the foundation for holistic nutrition. So, of course, there are, many different, tools that we can really add to our arsenal. These are a few of my favorite, and these are the ones that have been research backed for stress support. Number one is breath work. The reason that I love breath work is that, well, as people on this planet, we are breathing naturally all the time. We need to breathe in order to survive. Something that often happens, though, especially for anxious people and when we are in a state of stress, is that all of a sudden our breathing goes from a regular cadence to and holding and not even realizing that we're holding our breath until all of a sudden we need to take a really, really big gulp of air. And then, okay, we're back. We're back in action. So breath work is nice because it's just modulating your breath. It's changing your breath to a specific frequency, and you can do it anywhere. It's free. So there are so many different, breath work, recordings that you can listen to, whether that's on Insight Timer, that's a really great free app, or YouTube. And we are going to do a breathing technique in just a minute. Another one that I like is meditation, and meditation can look different for everyone. You can be baking cookies with your daughter, and that can be a form of meditation if you slow down and focus on the present moment. Of course, there are numerous ways to meditate as well, and everybody is different, but When it comes to meditation, it has been studied time and time again. This is one of the best ways to regulate our nervous system. Yoga kind of fitting into that same theme there. And then one that I wanted to add in is something as simple as a mindful walk. So, anytime that we can just bring in pockets of mindfulness into our day, this actually trains your brain to know that number one, I'm safe. And number two, it's really teaching your brain to look for things that are positive in your life in this moment. So for myself, if I'm having, a very stressful day at work, I will put on my shoes, put on my big warm coat because it is freezing in Ontario right now, and go for a walk. And on this walk, I'm not listening to a podcast or music. I'm really just listening to the sounds around me, maybe paying attention to the people that I'm passing, maybe paying attention to different plants and animals that might be around. And again, what this is doing is it's really training your nervous system that you are in a state of safety and it is okay. So it really does help calm down the brain and the body, and it doesn't have to be long. You do go for a 5-minute mindful walk and just pay attention to what's around you. Now, bringing it back to breath work, very simply, the reason that this works is because it helps shift your body from that fight, flight, or fawn response. So when all of a sudden the stress comes in and it feels like it's overwhelming and just taking over your body and your systems, shifting it into rest and digest. And rest and digest is really where we want to be the majority of our day. We don't want to be spending our entire day in the fight, flight, and fawn response. If that's happening, that's typically when we reach that burnout phase so much quicker. So, bringing in something like this, it doesn't need to take long. You can spend 1 minute doing this. And hot tip, if you do a breathing technique like this, just before you begin to eat. This will also truly help if you experience bloating or any sort of digestive discomfort with eating, because it brings your body into the rest and digest mode. It allows your brain to focus on the food that is coming in, and that also allows the chain reaction of positive digestive function to happen as well. So very quickly, if I can just take you for a moment through this breathing technique. So this is a 4-7-8 breathing technique. So we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. I'm going to guide you. We're going to hold the breath in for 7 seconds, and then we're going to have a very slow release for 8. And we're just going to do 2 cycles of this. Now, before we begin, if you are seated in a chair like me, if you could just relax your posture and make sure that your feet are touching the ground, that would be great. If you're sitting on a couch, that's okay. Just be comfortable, maybe cross your legs, and let's just begin. So we're going to breathe in for 4. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathe out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's it. So bringing in something like this once a day, 3 times a day, whatever works for you, can really help transfer that energy from that fight or flight response to rest and digest. Now, let's get into nutrients. Now, when we think about the stress response, the top thing that is probably in most people's mind, but certainly most clinicians' mind, whether this be your ND or your nutritionist or your dietitian, it's going to be adaptogens. Now, adaptogens, these are a very unique class of healing plants. They help balance, restore, and truly protect the body. Adaptogens help you respond to a stressor by normalizing your physiological functions. So what does that mean? Is that we're not having that giant shift into fight or flight. Instead, it's keeping you balanced and hopefully more on the rest and digest side. Now, you can think of adaptogens as truly these supportive aids that help you adapt to varying things in your environment. They help to ensure that you don't miss a beat, even as stress ebbs and flows. Now, adaptogens can help support mental focus and mental stamina. They can help relieve symptoms of mental fatigue and stress, support cognitive function, and support physical performance. And one of my favorite adaptogens is, as you can probably guess, ashwagandha. This has been my go-to for stress support for so many of my clients for literally over a decade now. Ashwagandha is also often called Indian ginseng, and it's a well-known and very well-loved adaptogenic herb whose leaf and root are used in traditional herbal medicine and Ayurveda. Now, adaptogens help improve the body's response to physical and mental stress while also improving sleep. Now, there are a ton of studies on ashwagandha, but I just wanted to share two with you. The first one, this study showed that in adults with chronic stress, that taking specific ashwagandha root extracts, 240 milligrams daily for 60 days, reduced perceived stress levels by 30 to 44% and decreased cortisol levels by 22 to 28%. That is profound, and that is a true shift that they are actually feeling in their bodies. Another study showed that patients with non-restorative sleep, so I think we've all experienced that before. You were asleep for 7 hours, but you woke up and you feel like maybe you got three. What they showed for these patients was that taking ashwagandha extract, 125 milligrams daily for 6 weeks, actually increased their sleep quality by 72%. That is massive. Now, 6 in 10 Canadians are experiencing some levels of stress, and the stress need states tend to be more prevalent among younger Canadians. And so, this is why ashwagandha is such an easy go-to herb. And one thing, though, that must be noted is that with all herbs, not all strains and not all forms are going to be equal. When you take something in tea form, you can get a little bit of benefit. Similar if you take something in its whole food form, maybe it's ground up, like ginger, for example, like ground up ginger, and you're adding that to a recipe or some hot water, you are going to get some benefit. But when really looking for those clinical benefits that have been talked about in those studies, you truly need an extract, and ideally you're looking for the forms that have been studied the most. So that's what you'll find in our Youtheory ashwagandha. So this one is a combination of organic ashwagandha as well as KSM 66 ashwagandha and ginger. Now, what KSM 66 is, there's there's going to be certain ashwagandha roots that will be trademarked. And this one is trademarked because this is the one that most of those studies and most of the studies that you find on PubMed and drugs.com, et cetera, they are actually using this specific form of ashwagandha because this is where they've noticed the most benefit. Now, it's been evaluated in over 22 gold standard human clinical trials, and it also has a very clean extraction technology. This is sometimes a bit of a concern with certain extracts is, are they using alcohol? Are they using, synthetic solvents to actually get the herb to the extract that we need? And in this case, this is very clean and they're not using any of those types of ingredients. In addition, for this particular formula, we've added in ginger extract. Now, ginger root, of course, is very well known for its use in supporting digestion and proper absorption of nutrients, and research has shown that ginger can help increase the absorption of compounds that it is combined with. So, when it comes to Youtheory, we are very much passionate about ensuring that when you're taking something from the Youtheory brand, whether it is a powder or a capsule, that your body is able to utilize as much of those ingredients as possible so that you are really able to garner the benefit that you're looking for. Otherwise, you're kind of paying for very expensive capsules. So in this case, we have a combination of KSM 66, which is one of the best ashwagandhas that really exist at this point. And then we've added in an addition of 400 milligrams of organic ashwagandha root powder and ginger root extract to increase the absorption of these nutrients. Now, because of the form of ashwagandha that we have in this particular formula, we have a myriad of Health Canada approved claims. Now, I did not list all of them on this page. That would be way, way too much. But here are a few key Health Canada approved claims associated with this product. Number one, it helps to increase our resistance to stress and anxiety, especially in individuals with a history of chronic stress. It is used in herbal medicine as an adaptogen to help increase energy and our resistance to stress. It may also help promote healthy testosterone production in males. It's traditionally used for memory enhancement, a rejuvenative tonic, and to just support the overall nervous system. So, who would I recommend this for? This would be for individuals looking for stress and anxiety support, individuals looking for sleep support, and individuals looking for memory enhancement. So, certainly in my household, this is something that my husband and I have used for a very long time. And it's very nice to be able to add in. And it's not something that you necessarily need to be on long term. But if I'm thinking about what's going on right now in the state of the world and perhaps thinking about the next 4 weeks, this is something that I would take every day for 4 weeks and really monitor how my body responds to it, and then decide if this is something that I want to take ongoing, or if this is something that I want to take intermittently when there are higher times of stress. Perfect. There is a question about how does ginger improve the absorption of ashwagandha. So there are a lot of studies on how ginger improves absorption overall for specific nutrients, but kind of the long and the short of it is that ginger helps to increase not only stomach acid, but also specific enzymes from our pancreas to be able to actually break down specific nutrients in our food and in our supplements, thereby enhancing the actual absorption of those specific nutrients. So this is typically why if someone is experiencing bloating, just overall not great digestion, we will add in ginger. And so ginger helps kind of at the top end of digestion, helping to increase the stomach acid, but it also helps later on by helping to ensure the right enzymes are also being released through our gastric juices and etc. As far as side effects of ashwagandha, I would recommend if you are, perhaps taking certain drugs, you always should talk with your pharmacist or your doctor. But as far as side effects go, there aren't a lot that have been, kind of top of mind or that have been shared through the studies. Um, yeah, this is one where it is a fairly well used herb, especially in like traditional Ayurvedic medicine, but also just traditional cooking. Certain teas will always typically have some ashwagandha in it, especially if it's like a sleep support or nervine support. So I can't say 100% that there won't be any sort of side effects, but there haven't been any that have been, you know brought top of mind, especially like through my personal clinical practice. But that would certainly be something that if you are concerned, always just talk to your doctor first. Yeah. Okay. See if there's anything else. Is there a maximum amount of ashwagandha for an adult a day that is recommended? The top end that I've seen in studies has been 500 milligrams. So that's 500 milligrams of the raw root. For the extract, it's going to differ depending on the type, but typically it's going to range between 300 and 500, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. Great questions though. I love that we're so engaged today. I'm just going to keep an eye on the time. Wow, already 30 minutes in. Okay, I wanted to just cover a case study with you all briefly. So, this is not her name. This is also not her image, but this is an idea of a person, let's say. So Sharon, she's 52. She works full time. She has two kids at home and cares for her elderly mother. So she has a lot going on. She's feeling burnt out heading into the holidays, and she wants to increase her energy as well as improve her mood. So, what would we be recommending? So, as a nutritionist, number one, I would want her to be aiming for 8 hours of sleep per night with a regular bedtime. A regular bedtime ensures that our sleep wake windows are kind of matching up with our circadian rhythm. And this also means that it's helping with our release and regulation of cortisol and melatonin. So, cortisol is your stress hormone, but it's also your hormone that wakes you up in the morning. And melatonin is the hormone that helps put you to bed. So, we need both to be at a regular cadence so that they are being released efficiently and at the right amount within our bodies. And so going to bed at the same time every night and trying to wake up around the same time every morning really helps with that. Next, I would say adopt one mindfulness practice and commit to doing it every day for the next 3 weeks and just monitoring how the body responds. I'd also want her to start each day with a minimum of 20 grams of protein, a fiber source, and some water. So for me, this would be, 3 eggs, a side of turkey bacon, some sauteed spinach and onions. I'm a spinach and onion girl. Sue me, I'm so sorry. But any type of vegetable or fruit that you like in the morning, and then a big old glass of water, a pinch of Celtic sea salt, if you want to increase your minerals. And that would be a wonderful start to the day to support your overall stress response, hormones, and energy. We want to be aiming for 4 colorful fruits or vegetables per day. This is actually, we typically say 6 to 8 servings of fruits and 6 to 8 servings of vegetables per day. Most people are not getting anywhere near that. So I like to keep it super simple. Let's go for 4 bright colors. That could be a cabbage, an orange, an apple, and a banana. It could be broccoli, edamame, a pepper, and a peach, whatever that may be for you. But getting in 4 colors per day can be really great to increase our antioxidant load, which also helps fight against stress in the body. We want to drink a minimum of 8 glasses of filtered water per day. And lastly, add in an adaptogen like ashwagandha and take once per day for the next 3 weeks and monitor the effects. So we talked about ashwagandha. I did want to leave you with 2 other just things that you can add to your tool belt. And so what we see very often is when someone is under chronic stress, they're also experiencing a lot of inflammation. They're feeling quite tight in the body too. For some people, this can show up as, tight traps. It could show up as tight lower body, whatever it may be. If stress is creating tension in your body, pay attention for a moment. Now, stress essentially is your body hitting the alarm button over and over. When you're stressed, your body thinks that you're in danger and it releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to help you survive. Now, that's helpful short term, but when stress sticks around, your body stays in fight or flight mode. Your cortisol stays elevated and your immune system gets confused. Over time, this tells the body to stay on high alert, which actually leads to inflammation. Now, chronic inflammation can result in gut issues, fatigue, brain fog, hormonal symptoms, or joint and muscle aches. You can think of inflammation like a small fire within the body. A little fire helps heal injuries, but stress keeps adding fuel, so the fire never fully goes out. And so this is when we can start to see these myriad of issues begin to show up. Now, in short, chronic stress means that we're having those constant alarm signals going off, and that can create ongoing inflammation. Now, the body isn't broken, it's really responding exactly the way it was designed to. However, this design was meant for short-term stress, not non-stop stress. So, how can we combat inflammation? There is one key nutrient that I'm sure we are all familiar with, and this is turmeric. Now, the active compound in turmeric is curcumin, and this has a very strong anti-inflammatory property, and it works by inhibiting several molecules that play a role in inflammation. So it does this by providing antioxidants. So antioxidants actually neutralize free radicals in the body, which can contribute to inflammation and oxidative stress. It also helps to modulate the immune system. This means that it really helps to make the immune system healthy. It's not turning it up, it's not turning it down. It's making sure that it's responding effectively and appropriately. And what turmeric has also been shown to do is actually improve inflammatory diseases in the body. So, clinical studies do suggest that turmeric may be helpful in managing inflammatory diseases like arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, cardiovascular issues, and anti-inflammatory, and has overall anti-inflammatory effects. So there is an increased demand for turmeric due to joint concerns, joint stiffness, as well as digestive health issues. So turmeric really is kind of that one-stop shop for supporting overall inflammation in the body. as well as digestive health and truly just, health holistically. I really like our Youtheory turmeric extra strength because it combines curcumin C3. So again, this is a trademark version form of turmeric that has been studied most abundantly, and it has had a lot of really wonderful clinical trial results. And then we've added in there black pepper extract. Now, when you have the combination of the two, you're actually increasing the bioavailability. Now, black pepper and its major active component, pepperine, has been shown to increase bioavailability of all nutrients, but in particular, in this case, we're talking about turmeric. And this pepperine has contains 95% of that specific compound, which has been clinically proven to enhance nutrients like turmeric. Our key Health Canada claims for the turmeric extra strength is that it provides antioxidants for the maintenance of good health, and it's used in herbal medicine to help relieve joint inflammation. This would certainly be someone who's looking for antioxidant support, joint support, or to relieve joint inflammation. Now, just to round us off here, we know that a successful day, especially through the holiday season, starts with a restful night. So, bringing in something like magnesium can be really helpful to ensure that not only are we supporting overall body functions, because magnesium is involved in over 600 enzymatic reactions, it also helps the body rest and relax and sleep. So, there's so many different reasons to be taking magnesium. We do know that a good portion of Canadians are deficient, 34% in fact, and a deficiency in magnesium can cause symptoms including restless legs, twitching eyelids, which is often associated with stress, but it's actually a sign of magnesium deficiency, disrupted sleep, muscle pain, migraines, and constipation can all be signs that we do not have enough magnesium in our diet. And magnesium deficiency can be due to reduced intake, reduced absorption, excessive sweating, or increased requirements from stress or pregnancy. So, magnesium is very vital for sleep and relaxation. Number one, it helps with the regulation of our GABA receptors. So, magnesium actually helps to regulate GABA. And GABA, in case you don't know, this is a neurotransmitter that promotes relaxation and really calms down the mind to help with sleep. It also supports our natural melatonin production. And melatonin, of course, is necessary for that deep, restful REM sleep. Magnesium has also been shown to help reduce stress and anxiety, help with muscle relaxation, and improve sleep quality. Now, this is the magnesium that I like to take in the evening. It's our Relax Magnesium Powder, and it's a combination of specific amino acids like L-glycine, and we also have L-theanine. L-theanine is a calming amino acid. We have pharma GABA in there, and as mentioned, GABA helps to relax the mind, relax the body, and then 300 milligrams of magnesium. So it is a very holistic formula designed specifically for those individuals that are looking for relaxation support and are looking to support muscle function. So, our key Health Canada claims for our Relax Magnesium Powder are that it helps to temporarily promote relaxation, helps to maintain proper muscle function, helps in the development and maintenance of bones and teeth, thanks to the magnesium, helps in tissue formation, helps to maintain normal electrolyte balance, and helps to maintain the body's ability to metabolize nutrients. So this would be, just my holiday harmony starter pack. So number one, ashwagandha for overall nervous system support, stress support. Again, it's an adaptogen. It helps our body adapt to stress. Then we have turmeric. So turmeric truly for just reducing overall inflammation. And for those of us that are under chronic stress and have a hard time slowing down and relaxing, turmeric can be very efficient in helping to turn down the inflammation in the body. And then lastly, the relaxed magnesium powder to ensure that we're all having a restful night's sleep, especially through the holiday season. So we did want to mention, first of all, thank you so much for joining today and for being a part of our webinar. Our Youtheory products at Healthy Planet in store are buy one, get one 50% off. This is in store until December 21st. And we'd love to stay connected with you. If you are on social media, you can find us at youtheory.can. And you can find myself at janettebell.cnp. I will check the Q&A for any questions, but if you do need to pop off, I just want to say thank you so much again for attending. We really appreciate connecting with you all in this way. Francine, I don't know if your question was in regards to the magnesium, but this one is not, it should not be hard on the stomach. As with any mineral, we always say go slow, and then you can always add more in, as you progress. But for this one, I think because it's also buffered with the citrate, and then we have the GABA and the L-theanine, it is an effervescent powder, so it does create a little bit of like bubbles in the water, but it's quite delicious. Oh, for ashwagandha, no, it should not create any sort of sorry, I'm just looking all the questions come in. It shouldn't create any sort of digestive discomfort. If you've experienced a digestive discomfort before with ashwagandha, then I would just say take it slow. Take maybe one capsule, wait 2 days, and see how your body responds. But for most people, there shouldn't be anything like that. If anything, it should actually help with digestion because it helps calm down the nervous system, which of course is related to the vagus nerve. And if we're able to kind of calm down the body in that way, typically digestion runs a little bit more smoothly. Yes, Monique, you absolutely can take too much magnesium. So in clinical practice, we always say take magnesium to bowel tolerance. So that's going to look different from individual to individual. What I've seen for most people is that would be upwards of 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. Most magnesiums that are on the market start at about 100 milligrams, and ours, for example, is about 300, I believe. So for most people, that's like a perfect dose to still get the benefits of relaxing the muscles, relaxing the mind, but not going into the laxative effect. And for this particular one with Youtheory, it's just one scoop in a glass of water. So, Catherine, your question about taking the organic ashwagandha root powder, is that sufficient? So, this is where I'm talking about, where I mentioned earlier about the clinical benefits of it. So, will you get a benefit from taking the organic ashwagandha root powder on its own? Most likely, yes. Will you feel the same clinical benefits as the KSM 66 extract? Most likely, no. So in order to get the true, clinical benefits, and it's always a spectrum, right? It's better to go for the extract. But if you're looking to just experience ashwagandha and just try a little bit here and there, you certainly can do the root powder. I add the root powder to smoothies and different recipes here and there. But then I also take the capsules on their own, especially during times of stress. Awesome. I think that was all the questions that were answered. So again, thank you so much. This session has been recorded, so I believe it will be sent out. And if you ever have any further questions, you can always email us directly, education@jamesonlabs.com. So with that, I will say good night and thank you again for tuning in. Take care, all.